I'm Caleb Brown and 18 years old.
My name is Adam Miller and 23 years old here at Thrust Flight.
My name is Elise Higgins. I'm 26 years old.
My name is Bill Peterson and I am 62 years old.
My name is Chase and I am 19 years old.
Weston Scott and I am 26.
My name is Megan. I am 25.
All right, my name is Aaron Taylor and I'm 25 years old.
Okay, my first experience of flying was on a discovery flight to a program that Cessna had, and it was just in a 152 once around the pattern to see if I was going to be interested in flying. I had never been in a little airplane before. I thought, yeah, I tried it and I said, you know, this is something I really want to try to do because it was just kind of cool to be up in the sky in charge of that little airplane all but with an instructor, but flying around by myself, so to speak.
My first experience would have been with my grandpa, which I can't remember. The first one I remember, yeah, with my grandpa. He had a Cherokee 6 300 and that's how we traveled for the longest time. It was my first actual cross-country flight, flying to Missouri, Joplin, Missouri from Woodward, Oklahoma. And that's when I decided that's what I wanted to do.
My first experience flying actually occurred here, right at another flight school. That's when I already knew I wanted to be a pilot and I just kind of went for it. Yeah, just took that first step and started my journey.
For me, I actually started as a flight attendant. Had no plans of becoming a pilot initially. As I started, laying over, going and hanging out with the pilots, and they were talking to me about it, and kind of getting to see what they do up front. Getting my opportunity to step into the cockpit, during bathroom breaks and things like that. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I had a couple pilots ask me, have you ever thought about it? And at first, I was like, no, I don't really think I've ever thought about becoming a pilot. I was just in it for the travel. But then the more that I got to see of what they do, and the more that I talked to them, I thought, this is something that I think that I would really enjoy. And so that's what kind of started my goal towards becoming a pilot.
I've always grown up flying with my dad and brother, but I really started paying attention to what they were doing. It was a flight with my brother actually in a 152. We're just going up just for fun. And it just really caught my interest. And I just really wow, I want to do this. This is more than just sitting around going for the ride. I want to know how to do this. And I just really loved it so much.
My first experience was so long ago, I don't really remember. But if I had to say something that really kind of made me interested in becoming a pilot, it was a flight with my dad actually in a United 737. He actually had the chance to ferry a United plane from Cleveland Hopkins to Berkeley Front, which is a really, really quick flight for a Memorial Day air show in Cleveland, Ohio. And I got to fly jump seat, and I just kept looking around, and I thought this was so cool. It was way better than the office job I had at the time. So I'd definitely say that was a big moment for me.
My first time flying was 7 years ago. It was just a disco flight. Me personally flying, it was fun. It was just a feeling of weightlessness and just, I don't know, feeling in control when being in an aircraft, which is a different experience entirely.
My first experience flying, my family and I would always take trips to Alaska every other summer. And one of the summers we did a glacier tour in a de Havilland Otter 6-seater aircraft. I was probably 11 years old and looking out the window, looking over the glaciers as an 11-year-old was just absolutely phenomenal. And I'd been racking my brain about, I always knew I loved airplanes and stuff like that, but I never was truly for real about being a pilot until that day flying over the Alaskan glaciers, and I realized this is what I want to do.
So when I'm up in the air, I feel like I can see the world in a bigger picture.
How do I feel whenever I'm up in the air and flying? Just free. I feel like, I'm in control of where I go, give or take, a few ATC clearances and stuff like that.
When I'm up in the air, I just feel like just completely at peace. A lot of people go, they drive, they take their time, you know what I mean? They want to get away from all their problems, things like that. Flying does that for me.
I love it, yeah. It's definitely a different view. The whole cliche is the best office in the world, it never gets old. I always wanted to kind of work outside, right? And I get to do that and from a very cool perspective every day.
I mean, I don't think there's really anything like it. I remember my first flight, I was just being on the plane is so cool. And so that was my first flying experience, but my first time in a small plane was there really isn't anything like it. That moment when you take off and you're just like, wow, okay, like I'm here, the controls are right here, the cockpit's right here, and I'm watching us lift off the ground. And it was super cool. And the first time that I was able to take the controls, and just that feeling of, there's this 1,000-pound machine that I'm controlling at 3,000 feet in the air. And it's a really incredible feeling.
It's a feeling of freedom, so to speak. I think it is. It's just, you're in charge of the plane I fly now. Is a very large airplane, and you're in charge of it with the people on board. And it's just kind of a freedom, and to look down at everybody else on the ground is kind of cool. And to know that this thing's actually flying.
It's just freedom. You get to see things that most people will never get to see in their life, and be at the control of engineering marvel. So it's really cool.
I think my favorite part of the flight is when you actually come in for a landing and the weather's not really good, and you break out and you see the lights and the runway's right in front of you, and you say, hey, I did it again. And you come in, you land, and it's usually, for me, it's usually a pretty good landing, I hope. But it's just fun to say I accomplished that again, and I found the airport and the weather was low and we got to where we were supposed to be.
So the part I like best about flying is definitely takeoff. It just gives you like a rush of like fast pace, and everything's coming at you really fast, and before you know it, you're already flying. So definitely takeoff.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick my favorite part. I think one of my favorite parts would definitely be takeoff, just feeling the wheels take off and leave the ground. It's just kind of like this really cool feeling that you're actually flying now.
My favorite part of the flight would have to be the maneuvers, doing the different types of maneuvers. Not only it fine-tunes your flying, but also at the end of the day, you can brag about what you've learned and stuff like that, and kind of show off to your passengers. So I love doing just unique maneuvers and stuff like that.
My favorite part of flight is landing. It's the most challenging, but it's also the most rewarding. When you get a smooth landing and you really feel like you've nailed it, that's the best feeling as a pilot.
I like the landings. I like the challenge of trying to make everyone better than the previous, and especially you throw in crosswinds and challenging weather conditions. It's a lot of fun.
Something that almost stopped me from flying was the previous school that I was at. I started my flight training at a 4-year university, or obtained my private pilot's license at a 4-year university. And after that, I just kept being put on a wait list, along with all of my other classmates, my friends. I have friends that I started out with my freshman year of college who still are not done with their training 4 years into it. So I came to Thrust, and I realized that it wasn't me as much as it was the administration and the system that I was in. And this school, Thrust Flight, has been the biggest blessing in terms of it helped me realize that I can still do this.
Being so young and being a girl, I was like, there's not very many women who do this. And me being young, like, well, everybody else is gonna be older than me. I talked to other women and just kind of got their experience of it all. And I realized that it's not, it is still an option. It doesn't hold you back just because you're a woman or just because you're a girl. There's tons of people out there. It doesn't matter your age, of course, for different ratings requirements, but everybody can do it. The
whole, pandemic going on kind of almost made me decide not to, but after talking with a lot of pilots that I knew, that have been in the industry for a long time, they, told me to go ahead and take the leap, and it would all pay out, so here I am.
The thing is I started as a regional flight attendant. I wasn't making a lot of money, and then even when I went over to the mainline carrier, I was making more, but it's so hard to save up enough to make the flight training really worthwhile. Because I thought, even when I can afford it, it's gonna take me so long to get to where I need to go, and I'm gonna end up flying so much more because I won't be able to keep that proficiency. So what ended up happening for me was I started in the Zero Time to Airline program, and I got my meritized loan, and I was able to knock it all out in 10 months, and that's what I really needed to be able to do.
When I was little, I guess I never really considered even asking for flight lessons because I knew it was so expensive, and a huge part of me doubted myself. I doubted my abilities to be able to do this. I remember thinking, I thought instrument rating would be so hard. I was like, I'll never remember all of this, I'll never be able to do it. And I got through it and I did it, and I was like, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought, because I had all this support from Thrust Flight. So definitely financials and just doubting myself.
So if you're kind of apprehensive about becoming a pilot, it's something that you want to do, but you're really unsure, whether it's, your financial situation, or, maybe you just don't know if you're going to be good enough. The first thing I would say is, spend the money to go on a discovery flight. Go up and see if it's something that you would really love to do. Talk to instructors, get the chance to really get behind the controls and see, is it something that you love? Because if you're passionate about it, you're going to be able to do it.
Just go hang out at an airport. Pilots are really friendly people. You might walk up to someone and they might take you up around the pattern, or go to your local flight school and take a discovery flight. And there's, tons of opportunities to get up in the air and see if it's for you or not.
For anybody who is considering it, just go for it, really. If you set your mind to it, you can do it. And yeah, just go for it.
My biggest thing is you got to at least try it. There's no point to say, no, I can't do this. I mean, if I can do it and the guy next to me can do it, and we're completely different people, then what's to say you can't do it?
I think anyone should be offered the opportunity to fly, right? I think that's where good instruction comes, right? Kind of pushing that student or that person over the edge to finally go ahead and do it, right? Because, I have students come to me when they first start and they're still like a little bit scared, right? But that's our job as instructors to kind of come in and educate them and say, why, this is why it shouldn't be scary, right?
Yeah, so if there's someone out there that would maybe want to fly, but they're scared, or they're not sure if they could do it, or they don't really understand the process maybe, I would definitely say reach out. Contact anyone. If you've got a friend, ask them questions. You can call Nathan at Thrust Flight. He's very helpful, very friendly, and just do it, right? If you've got the passion, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back.
I would say to someone that's nervous about it is, it's number one, are you doing something you love? And if you're doing something you love, why not go for it and have fun about it? It's a very safe thing to do. You're never too old to learn how to fly, and it depends on what your aspirations are. You can learn how to fly at any age and fly commercially. It could be with the airlines, could be with charter companies, it could be a flight instructor, which are all great jobs. But does it really matter if you love what you're doing? Just go out and do it and enjoy it. And it doesn't even have to be professional. It can just be for fun to take your family up and fly. But it's a great way to spend the afternoon or the weekend, or to make a living.
What would I say to someone who's thinking about becoming a pilot? Definitely pursue it, especially in this time and age after COVID, being in the post-COVID era. I've talked to so many professionals in the industry. I have several family friends who are flying right now that have told me point blank there is no better time to get into the industry. I simply just couldn't see myself retiring in an office. If I'm going to retire, I want to be 35,000 feet in the air. And that's the best way to put it, is why not make big money doing what you love? It's a sacrifice. It does take time, but at the end of the day, it's worth it.